All right, Saturday, 13th of September 2025. So, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. The path of the sovereign in the fourth turning. To walk as a sovereign is to carry your own myth, even as the world story slowly burns. Now, I'm not going to focus much on the fourth turning theory, which is an interesting thing, and there's many videos and topics on that, which I may do something about that in the future. But the path of the sovereign, because it's kind of related to that and independent of it, in a sense of being a strong version of you. The more sovereign you are, you see myths and superstitions and recursive logic, the reasoning behind logic behind things. You identify dogma, superstition, and narrative traps. You recognize logical fallacies, cognitive biases. You recognize these dilemmas, no true Scotsman, the ad hominem, the trial balloon, all these kind of things. You recognize. It's that scene in The Matrix, really, where the guy says, "I don't see lines anymore. I just see reality," or "I don't see the world anymore. I just see lines, and I just see ideas or answers or information and data." It's that. You can have all this noise presented to you, and you just recognize things instantly because you've had such a epistemic shedding of all the different biases and logical fallacies and beyond. And the phoenix thing I talked about in another video, where you've collapsed but you've been reborn epistemologically, socially, anthropologically, you name it. You also live by an inner law. You define your own morality, your own structure, your own value, your own values. That's powerful. Meaning your values aren't outsourced to other people like with culture. You aren't influenced as much by the predominant culture. You are your own being. You are your own island, separate among the continents. You watch the storms of history without being shipwrecked. Ooh, wow, interesting. Watches the storms of history without being shipwrecked. You watch all the events of the world, situations, scenarios, things play out without it capsizing you, without it destroying, without it sinking you, without it destroying your lifeline, because you're immune. You're part of the world, but you're not part from the world. You're part of the world, 24 hours in a day, thirst and hunger, but you're apart from it. You're separated from it. You're segregated. That's an interesting word. You're not reliant, not beholden, not subject to it. You're not isolated. That's the wrong connotation. But it would be you're not beholden, not dependent on the world. You're your own being. The river is going that way, and you can easily go that way, upstream, for example, or you can easily cross it without being affected. And you define your own myths as well. Define your own myths as in your own trajectory. You define your own North Star in life. That's powerful as a man as well. To have your own direction in life. I want that. I want that. Not that, or that. No. That. And you go for it. With all energy, might, attention, you name it. You identify the cultural stories you've unconsciously absorbed: media, education, family, religion. What was I told that makes life meaningful? Where did this myth come from? Who benefits if I believe this? That's deep. That right there is too deep for most people can handle. Too deep for most people to handle. Who benefits if I believe this? Wow. The sovereign must endure the collapse without clinging to the rubble. Wow, not beholden to the rubble, to what's happening in the world, the ups and downs of life and the grand trajectory of civilization and mankind. Letting go of needing approval from broken institutions. Expect isolation, misunderstanding, even ridicule. Embrace the depth of identity built on false foundations. In the video about the phoenix in you, as you collapse, as the pillars, as you have this epistemic collapse, even you shed away a lot of the falsehoods of reality, mechanics and emotions, for example. And as you grow, rebirth, that That's powerful. Death of identity, shedding from one person to another and going into a new frontier in life. Sit with, well, you must become your own cathedral. Construct own internal law, your own personal index, core principles, orientation to truth, suffering, power, and time. What is it? What are your priorities? What are your values? What would you defend, even alone? And to what extent? And then you can even go deeper to say, to what extent do I embrace the dark triad? Narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy. Even the opposite, the white triad, the bright triad, I forgot what that's called. It's basically the opposite. Even that, to what extent do you embrace them? To utilize them for your own advantage, for your own end. The sovereign does not follow the narrative. He creates the next one. Now that's quite powerful. That is next level. It's one thing to not follow the narrative in society, the world, civilization, you name it, but to then create your own one, even in the context of a family unit, family, neighborhood, community, society, city, region, country, continent, civilization, generations. Powerful. A visionary clarity. What vision and what clarity do you have? What could the world look like if people were awake? Awake is a nicely poetic word, but enlightened, we could say, or aware of more things, understood deeper truths of reality, and becoming the truth, becoming the story that other people can live by. Powerful. Because what happens beyond, I did a video about this, does it matter when I'm gone, about your legacy, the things you do today and how they echo in eternity. That's powerful. Because you could say, well, in the end we all pass on, but then a deeper level, a more long-term thinking level would be, well, our actions, the results of our consequences and intentions echo for eternity. Like in the movie, the quote from the film, Gladiator, our actions echo in eternity, basically. It reminds you of that. Guide others not by force, but by example. Discipline, clarity, love. Interesting. Actions speak louder than words, you could say. It's cliche thinking, but quite poignant. The sovereign does not conquer, he stabilizes. Now, that's beautiful, that is. I didn't come here to be a saviour, I came here to stabilize. Once your foundation is unshakable, offer stability to others. Not ideology, but orientation. Not answers, but questions that awake. It's akin to that old saying, feed a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a life. It's essentially that, but at a more abstract, metaphysical, philosophical, reality shedding, understanding of reality way instead. Live as someone who is free in a world of slaves, but without pride or cruelty. Very interesting. Live as someone who is free in a world of slaves, but without pride or cruelty. And those are Machiavellian things you could say there. Pride would be the psychopathy, and narcissism, definitely narcissism, and cruelty would be the psychopathy. And you could also say Machiavellian as well, but very powerful. In an age of collapsing symbols and institutions, the sovereign is not the man with power. He is the one who has no need of it. For he governs a territory no tyrant can see or seize. His soul, his individuality. This kind of reminds me now of The Prisoner, Patrick McGowan, 1967. I'm not a man. I am not a number. I'm a man. I'm a free man. It reminds me of that. Number 6, Patrick McGowan's character. Number 6 speaks his mind. No myth lasts forever, but the soul of people always demands a story. When one dies, another waits to be born. You will kill God, but who will you replace it with? Nice quote from Nietzsche. Because understand that, in terms of the fourth turning, and the grand scheme of things in life, on the march of civilization, I did a video back a year ago that things get better. The current myths and narratives and stories that define the society and the world we live in today are changing. New myths, new stories, new founding ethos, new frameworks. that will determine the next 100 years are slowly forming indeed through the passage of time. Living memory, events, situations, circumstances, consequences, things change naturally. 1,000 years ago, the world situation was different, just how it was 2,000 and 3,000 years ago. Civilizations, empires, ideas, theologies, ideologies, you name it, came and went. And as we slowly enter the new world, this new frontier of civilization of mankind, being sovereign is beyond priceless, beyond powerful. It is your soul. Not in a religious way, in a salvation way actually, but also in an enlightenment way, to rise above a lot of the misdirections, distractions, temptations, we could say, the short-termism, the NIMBYism, not in my backyardism, things like that, all kinds of things. Essentially, the more independent we are, the more powerful we are. The more powerful we are, the stronger of a beacon of hope we are for stability that we can gift and give to others. That's beyond powerful, it's beautiful. It's beautifully liberating, we could say. Wow. But otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff mentioned now. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.